Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring DoW2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here with you, calling the shots as always. And before we get started, I wanted to mention, since we are on Elite Mod, that the 2.0.9 patch notes have been put up on DoW2Elite.com, so be sure to go check those out. Highlights include the Doom of Malantai unit, of course, for the Tyrannid army that I mentioned in the last episode, coming onto the field. The Aspect of Cain upgrade for the Banshees, which is a completely new aspect upgrade that's not compatible with Aspect of the Banshee. And, of course, we've got the return of unit persistency coming to the field, and tons of Grey Knight balance changes, so lots of that happening, of course. So go check those out. There's plenty of other changes as well. Check them out for yourself. In the meantime, we're looking at this very fancy Blood Ravens Force Commander right here, and this is an older version game, actually, featuring Toilailee and Texaneous. So let's see who pulls ahead here against these two star Juggernaut players. We're on, of course, the cut and dried map of Calderis Refinery. Pretty straightforward, you know. You got your 3 VPs across the center, got your natural power over here, contested power in the middle of the map, and Tex saying he's trying out a kind of new old build. We'll see what exactly that means. Toilailee agrees and says he's going for it too, kinda. So someone kinda going old, someone kinda going old new. I don't know what this means. These guys are just rambling back and forth. They play so many games that probably doesn't even matter what they build. So we've got the Orc Warboss facing off against the Force Commander. Of course, two melee titans as far as that goes. Nothing particularly exciting out of opening builds or cap orders. Pretty standard. Pretty usual stuff. Warboss stomping through everything. Gonna go ahead and start trying to get that center VP and put some pressure on the Space Marine. Toilailee, in the meantime, going for the contested power. Tex on the other side with his slug is keeping his shooter boys together to go push this side of the map. And if they find themselves some scouts, which is exactly what he's going to do, he's going to be able to force them off pretty easily. Toilailee spots the shooters, decides not to engage. Of course, he'd lose that battle. And with his primary attack force over here pushing the power side of the map, gonna force these sluggers off. Tex knows not even to bother engaging. Scouts already upgraded with shotguns, and those sluggers are just gonna have to not worry about it. Scouts, in the meantime, going for the center VP. Tex kind of maneuvered around, is now in their retreat path, so they're going to have to run away. Unfortunately for Toilailee, that's exactly what Tex wants, forces them into the shooters, and they're just going to have to get out of there. Let's see if that Warboss is going to be able to snag a model on retreat. He doesn't quite do it, just lands a solid whack with that chain axe. In the meantime, the scouts and Tex going to tag themselves a generator, knock out a quick gen there, get a little extra wreck drain on Tex right out of the gate here. Tex ignores it, drops 2 more gens immediately, and decides he's going to have to hold this side of the map. Big shooters over here, now engaging the Force Commander, Tex and scouts. Slugger boys realizing they have to get in there, but not sure quite where to go. Shotgun blast is going to knock them back, no doubt, and do some pretty heavy damage as they're on their back taking shotguns. A bit of a big old battle right here early on. Sluggers lose half their models, have to fall back, but Tex got the scouts off the field and now has his Warboss to kind of go around and just disrupt these attacks. They're not going to be able to do any more power farm damage, so that's pretty much all he was really hoping for, is he wanted to keep that farm up, and he managed to do that. The Warboss might not be able to take both of these on his own, but he'll at least be able to force off these attacks or maybe cause some model loss. A nice special attack as the Force Commander activates his battle cry. Attacks get the decap, however, and it's a 2-0 cap against Tex. Or sorry, it's a 2-0 cap against Toilailee. I'm sorry, I got that confused. They get the decap because Tex, in the meantime, has had his second shooter boy squad way back on the far side of the field. Capped Toilailee's natural VP. Those Tex very fortunate to keep all their models, even with a few whacks there from the shooter boys on retreat, didn't manage to take anything out. Force Commander now kind of doing the same thing the Warboss was earlier, and just kind of stalling around and forcing everything out here in the Orc army to engage him or run around, keeping them from capping anything more. but the Force Commander is going to have to fall back here shortly. Scouts getting caught out of position by these big shooters, all the way upgraded with both their knob and shooter. Both squads are already. So a pretty fierce range force on the field, and of course with the War Boss, that's very difficult to deal with because the War Boss is just going to charge your front line, especially as Space Marine. Your attacks are going to get tied up immediately, and then these big shooters are just going to roam around and tear up your scouts, really kind of mitigating the map control that scouts normally offer. And Tex again positioning his War Boss in the retreat path of the scouts and swinging his shooter boys around on the other side. Scouts already getting upgraded with their sergeant, and Tex bringing some lootas onto the field. Tex has really been favoring lootas recently in the Elite mod ever since they got their nice damage buff. They're pretty formidable, all things considered. Second squad of scouts already upgraded with their shotguns and Sarge as well, so we've got one with just a Sarge, one upgraded with both shotties and the Sarge. So Toilailee probably going to be using these scouts in conjunction with his main battle force. Slugger boys didn't even bother to reinforce those. No reason to if you're just using them for capping, and these shooter boys would be in a lot of trouble right now. However, he's gonna look at him pulling these guys right into the arc of fire, those lootas, and look at he's gonna have to fall back immediately. Nice play there, forcing off two squads with just the shooter boys and the lootas. And really, that ability to cloak is what makes those lootas so valuable as suppression platforms. You can really pull exactly what just happened. Pull some squads right into the middle of the arc of fire and then just open up on them. With most squads, you can kind of just, if you spot your squad moving into the suppression in time, you can pull back and not get forced off the map. Slugger Boy's about to get engaged by scouts. Tex spots it, however, and moves back. He's got the second node popped as well, so he's got a pretty reasonable power income. We've got 59 to 69. Toilailee has a full gen on the secondary farm, so the map's kind of split right down the middle here, except for this one requisition, which is now going back into the hands of Toilailee. 240 to 500, however. Even with those sergeants, those scouts did not spot it in time. Loota's actually pretty resilient, gonna be able to take a grenade without much issue. They lose a single model, but again, Tex not worried about that. Gonna leave him on the field. He doesn't need more than one model to suppress. Force Commander gets pushed off. He's been upgraded, in case you hadn't noticed, with both his Iron Halo and Artificer armor, which is going to give him his energy shield and some pretty nice regen. Really makes him an obnoxious tank to deal with, and kind of allows him to approach those double shooters without as much issue. Really, by the time he gets engaged into melee range with those two, all he'll have done is lost his shield, and then he has one engaged and can kind of at least cause damage and force them to not run around as much. Note goes down over here. Again, these Slugger Boys not upgraded, or sorry, not reinforced. Down to 2 models, but still using them to cap. Tex heading into Tier 2 with plenty of power, plenty of requisition. He'll be able to buy himself a Tier 2 unit right out of the gate as soon as he hits that. Toilailee a bit behind, got himself a 3rd scout squad. So really what he's going to probably be doing is, yeah, exactly, you're going to see this main combat force with the fully upgraded scout squads, and then just a capping squad off on its own. So we'll have to see what Tier 2 brings. Tex is obviously going to be heading into it, and unfortunately for him, he's got this Luta squad not quite positioned correctly. Explosive shot going down on the double shooters, and if he had had that just firing arc placed a little more easterly, he would have been able to halt this push right here and probably forced Toilailee right off. Oh no, Slug is getting in a little trouble there, but they fall back. Tex may reinforce them at some point here eventually, especially once he gets into Tier 2 and gets a knob on him. Death Dread coming onto the field, which is going to be a pain for all these scouts. Razorback coming on as well, and that's not really going to help against the Death Dread. We'll have to see what happens here. I'm sure we'll see the Power Fist and maybe a rocket launcher on the Tex. So Death Dread already charging out onto the field, getting its burners and bits upgrade. Force Commander's gonna stay on the field, get the cap, and then fall back. Triple cap against Tex for real this time. And oh, Toilailee actually, right before he buys it, cancels that Razorback. Yeah, he did cancel it upon seeing the death threat. Instead going for a Devastator squad, realizing he's going to need some sort of ranged AV. Warboss actually upgraded with the custom shooter, you don't see that often. Has the shoot 'em good ability, which is kind of like the full auto ability for the Apothecary. It'll be heavy range DPS and knockback on
Where you want the you see what I say?
On anything he chooses to use that on. So here come the burners on that power farm. Look how fast these Death Dreads take out power. I really don't know why we don't see more Death Dreads. I love them. They're so cool. I just love walkers, but this thing is just, it looks absurd. It looks like it shouldn't be on the battlefield at all. It looks like something from a cheesy sci-fi movie. Or I guess a cheesy sci-fi universe. Alright, I know I won't say that. I know the 40k fans will get mad at me. Anyways, Las Cannon getting some shots on this Death Dread. Force Commander trying to close in to get a flesh over steel, or at least just a couple swings of that Power Fist, but he just can't quite do it. He's just standing there. Very unfortunate for him. Death Dread's gonna escape relatively unharmed. Scouts heading back right now, and in the meantime, shooters over here on their own. Tech's been using these shooters, again, kind of independent of his war boss, to cap map and like battle the scouts on their own. Nice use of grenade and explosive shot, forced off the shooters. Didn't quite nail the grenade, but realized those shooters had to get out of there. We see Stern Guard veterans on the field, and they are using that nasty damage over time shot. I forget what exactly that ammo configuration is, but it's the heavy anti-infantry one, and it's very, very effective against orcs.
Orcs overruled. Where to, boss?
Loota's kind of hanging back, supporting that Death Dread. Force Commander got suppressed a little bit, choosing to kind of move back in there. I'm not sure why he went back after the War Boss. Look at that custom shooter just pouring fire into the Force Commander. Force Commander is going to try to soft retreat out of this suppression field, trying to set up that Devastator to get some shots. There goes the shoot 'em good ability, knocking that Force Commander down. He does get back up, and look at him just tanking away at this damage, taking all kinds of fire and just hanging out. The Tech's still refusing to reinforce these Slugger Boys, just using them on repair detail now. Stern Guards on the field, Scouts moving in to cause some damage to these Sluggers and Lootas. Fortunately, the Lootas turn around just in time. Oh my gosh, this Scout squad might go down. Oh, wow. 5 HP, just barely escaping. Of course, the Stern Guards do have, I believe it's, I forget whether it's Vengeance rounds or Kraken bolts. I get their ammo configuration mixed up, but they do have a soft AV setup. Unfortunately for Tex, he loses his War Boss, kind of was behind enemy lines, lost a bit too much fire there. Shooter Boys forcing off the Stern Guards. They were already pretty well beat up, and going to be able to force off the rest of this as well. Razorback coming onto the field. But that Devastator needs to get inside of it. It's very low, taking lots of shooter fire, and oh, it did get into the Razorback. I wasn't actually sure if it managed to escape right there. Oh my goodness. Scouts rolling around. Tex lost his hero, but in tier 3 with tons of resources right now. Could purchase some knobs if he so choose. 2 Slugger Boys still on the field from that squad, reinforcing, or repairing rather, the Death Dread. And Loota's trying to set up on these scouts. They're going to be too quick for that, of course. And Razorback coming in for the flank. So those Loota's probably going to have to retreat out of there. And oh my goodness, Tex is getting a battle wagon on the field. Loota's got the Force Commander in the retreat path. If he gets a swing on that forward model, he might be able to take out the squad. Oh, but he doesn't quite have the speed to get that second swing in. Fortunately for Tex, saving that Loota Boy model right there. 135 HP. I think that Power Fist may actually have finished it off. And it looks like Toilailee's going to push in on the Power Farm. Kept his Devastator squad just barely on the field, and now reinforcing with the help of the Razorback. Trying to get in position. This Dreadnought, or Death Dread rather, chopping away at scouts still, but in the range of that las cannon and gonna be kind of struggling to get out of it. He's walking along this path, but he's right along the edge and just barely manages to get out, I think, before that last shot hits. Activates that rampage and charges out of there. 340 to 133. Tex really put the early VP pressure on, but needs to get Toilailee off of here. Of course, as soon as this battle wagon comes out, he's going to be able to do so. And not sure what he's saving up for. Oh, there goes. I was getting ready to say I'm not sure why he hasn't bought his warballs back, but he just purchased them there right as I mentioned it, and now hammering the farm of Tex. Of course, unbeknownst to him, Tex still has almost 200 power, so he's not really going to be feeling that power hurt too much right now. So long as he holds onto this battle wagon, it's probably not really going to matter. Scouts go down. What was that from? That was from the Warboss Enhanced Custom Shooter. Look at the range he took that scout at. And oh man, here we go. Vehicles on the field. And look at him using that battle wagon to force that force commander away from the deff dread. Scouts have to fall back, lose a couple models to the deff dread. At least a couple squads inside, and there goes the deff roller. Look out, Devastator squad, you're about to get squished. Oh, a little squash, little squishy squish. Two models go down, squish into bits. One is going to escape, and now the deff roller is moving in on that Razorback. Razorback hits the smoke bomb, and that's actually going to allow it to survive the shots from this battle wagon right now. In the meantime, the force commander's just been hounding after it, but he's not going to be able to land much right here. Activating the deff roller once again, and even that can knock back the force commander with his shield on. Razorback just sitting here eating big shooter and custom shooter fire. No AV on the field. I'm not sure if Tex is going to choose to upgrade that Luda Boy squad to a beamy def gun or just use this battle wagon to deal with the Razorback. Force commander finally gets forced off. Razorback and Scout's going to try to get some casualties in on these shooter boys. Grenade goes down. Oh my goodness, I'm surprised there wasn't more damage done. I think they were already inside of that battle wagon. In the meantime, all four squads inside of that battle wagon, so all the guns are going to be firing, and it's going to be at maximum speed. Oh, deff roller right here could be devastating if it hits all those scouts in the Razorback. Force commander, or sorry, Warboss. Force commander, goodness, Warboss chopping away at scouts here. They finally decide to hop back inside that Razorback, and using that giant battle wagon to block it from retreat, it's not going to be getting out of there. Deff roller crushes it, and then fires a big old shot right into the pile of Space Marines. Melta dread on the field, however, and that's combined with the las cannon going to be a big problem for this battle wagon. Las cannon moving up, but not going to be able to continue the chase immediately on this battle wagon. Warboss going to have to be careful. He does have a dreadnought in his retreat path. 278 to 133. Tex has a secondary gen farm up here, but you can see the map control very much in favor of Toilailee. Getting another generator on the field now. Oh no! Warboss might go down again, even with the Hard Boys' global ability there. A bit of a waste, unfortunately. Tex being a bit too brazen right there to pull back his Warboss. Really, he's been playing very well except for his hero. He's lost his Warboss for a second time here, and I think that's going to put him on the back foot as far as wreck goes. Meanwhile, Slug is still on repair duty. That's really their only lot at this point, is to fix things up. Tex has some flash gits on the field with git finders, which gives them some seriously long-range DPS here.
Life is good. Locked and loaded, boss.
And a brief respite as everyone fixes up their vehicles and gets in position for the next big clash. Toilailee knows he really has to hold Tex on these next couple pushes because he doesn't have the VPs to really get pushed off the map too many more times here. He does have a very nice force. Of course, in this late game portion, it's actually very effective to have multiple devs on the field against orcs. Flash gets and Shooter Boy's opening fire on that force commander. Aiming with that being activated, takes out his shield almost instantly. Melta Dread moving into position. In the meantime, Luta's very low. big shot going off right there. Lootas need to get out. Oh no, he loses the squad. Force Commander goes down in the meantime, taking way too much range fire. Death Dread pretty fixed up. Gonna be able to start attacking this Dreadnought now and stop the damage of that Melta. Scouts go down to the flash kits. Toilailee down to just one squad of scouts, just barely got out of there with one model, and now this Dreadnought's in a bit of a bad spot. Gonna be able to escape, but that battle wagon needs to get back onto the field and start causing some more trouble. That's a big investment, especially if it's your first tier 3 unit, so you really need to get it out there and make it count. That's the problem with going for that big tier 3 stuff. It's very low health. Even with its speed boost and death roll upgrade, it's going to be hard pressed to get in on this las cannon and get away from that Dreadnought. Shootaboy's coming out along with the flash kits. Unfortunately, there's a plasma dev in the background. This battle wagon's probably going down. Devastator's going to die, however, I think. Nice plasma dev shot in the middle of all those big shooters. Flash kits getting suppressed. Unfortunately, he didn't quite stop that Devastator. Oh, if only he'd stopped that Devastator, he would not have had to have fallen back right there. With those Plasma Devastator in combination with that standard Devastator stopping the Orc Army cold. He did lose the Devastator, however, Toilailee did. Tex, in the meantime, losing his Death Dread, hoping to trade, I think. Oh man, and the claw comes on, but the Plasma Devastator knocks him back just in time. Wow, that Plasma Dev already paid for itself, pounding those big shooters and then stopping the War Boss, who most certainly would have finished off that Dreadnought with one swing of the Power Claw there. Slugga Boys hanging out in the middle of the map, still with 2 models. Haven't been reinforced the entire game. Tex down to 4 squads, lost both of his vehicles there. Not a good engagement at all. Slugga Boys still hanging out, kiting around the Force Commander, who's pretty nasty right now with all his upgrades. Of course, War Boss nothing to scoff at either with that Power Claw, coming in to hopefully get himself a kill or two. Flash gets opening fire on the Force Commander. Oh no! Oh, losing his War Boss once again. Tex a bit too careless. He kind of did just stand there. A bit of a bad choice. These Stern Guards level 2 causing some serious damage to these Shooter Boys who aren't in any kind of cover. Those shooters need to retreat. Oh no, down they go. Need to retreat a little earlier against the Stern Guard veterans when they have that ammo configuration. Oh, and as we can see, that's why. The damage over time really stacks up. It's just like with fighting the Plague Marine. Oh no, a rock's on the field. Right on top of that Dreadnought. It might escape. No, the secondary rock finishes it off. Oh, nice win there for Tex. I would have said he was out of the game if he hadn't managed to take that Dreadnought out, but he does get that clutch nuke right there and finish off the vehicle. Bringing Knobs onto the field. Both players down to quite little. Toilailee's only real fighting force is kind of the Stern Guards and his Force Commander. Tex has the Flash Gits and his Knobs along with his hero once he chooses to pick him up. These 2 Devastators aren't going to be super effective at dealing with what Tex has. Of course, the Plasma Devastators proven very useful, already level 2. So he's going to have to make sure he takes care of those. Knobs are going to... I mean, they're gonna be effective, but Toilailee has the tools he needs to deal with them. If he uses this Plasma Devastator correctly, the Scout Shotguns, and of course the Force Commander Battlecry, your primary force against Knobs is knockback, so he's in a good spot. Look at the audacity of Tex with 1 shooter model on the field, capping right in front of a Space Marine army. All they need to do is sneeze on that lone Slugga Boy, and they'll be able to finish it off. Force Commander tangling with Knobs, activating his Battlecry. Tex realizes it, pulls in his knob, and charges after those Stern Guards, which are now level 3 after taking out all those Shooter Boys. Doing some heavy damage. Look at this lone Git is going to get the cap there in the middle. 141 to 124. It's still anyone's game. Another Dreadnought coming onto the field for Toilailee, and Tex is going to have to play this very carefully if he wants to pull the victory out of this. I think he was a bit overzealous with that battle wagon. Really losing that is such a huge blow. Oh, and the Knob's actually going to finish off that Plasma Dev. No! Emperor's Wrath saves the day, stuns those Knobs, and allows that lone Plasma Devastator unit to get out of there. Tex getting the decap over here. This might be exactly what he needs to start putting this serious VP pressure on. Warboss going back and forth between his claw and custom shooter. One lone slugger boy still on the field. This Git is a tough fella, let me tell you. Scout's trying to get the decap on the middle point. Tex activate and shoot him good, but not getting the right model. Oh, he needs to get this one right here that's kneeling down, capping the point. But he didn't quite manage to pull it off. Switching back to the claw now, seeing that there's another dreadnought on the field. Both players with a single generator. No, Tex has 2 up. But, both players with not serious power income. 140 to 74. Managed to get a few crucial VPs off with that push. And now kind of positioning himself to get back out here. Tex not sure what he's going to bring on the field to deal with this. Toilailee doesn't have a lot on the field, but what he does have is powerful. He's got level 3 Force Commander, Tex, and Scouts. And really, all Tex really has is these 2 squads. Of course, look at him kind of scouting ahead with his Warboss, moving in and out of here with that Warboss, trying to figure out where that Plasma Devastator is set up. Plasma Devastator kind of attacking, trying to finish off that Slugger Boy, instead doing some damage to these silos right here.
Wants to be angrier.
Scouts cloaked and kind of moving around. That's a good choice. Now that those shooters are down, there's no detection on the field, so those scouts are going to kind of roam around and figure out what direction Tex is coming in from. Those Plasma Devastators need to reposition themselves. Tex is moving in. He spotted the Plasma Dev and is hoping it hasn't moved. But Toilailee doing a little scouting of his own. Angry Bits being activated, charging in against those Stern Guards. A perfect Plasma Dev shot right into the middle of those knobs. Knob's going to start beating up on that nasty Dreadnought right there. Some friendly fire on the Dread. A third Devastator on the field once again, and another one coming out. And this is kind of exactly what he needs to do with these knobs. It's just this Dev spam that we're seeing. This late game Dev spam can be so effective against the Orcs. Flash gets engaged in melee with the Scouts. They've been keeping them from doing any range damage, which is really an excellent play there by Toilailee. Those Flash Gits don't do... Oh no! I'm not sure if he realizes this Devastator is still attacking ground. Oh, he does now. He almost... Oh no, maybe he doesn't! Oh, wow. I thought he was going to kill his own Dreadnought. Oh, that would have been very unfortunate for him. We have a looted tank coming onto the field for Tex.
Come on! That's the best you can do!
And that might actually be very useful against that Dread. Wow, he almost killed... Oh, look at this lone Slugger Boy getting a special attack on the Devastators, which are capping right here. And is he actually going to win that fight? There might be something more important, but I want to watch this. Lone Slugger Boy. Oh no, some Flash Git support coming in. That's not a fair fight, and that Slugger Boy may actually... Another knockdown attack, and the Flash Gits finish it off. Oh, that wasn't fair. It should have been Slugger on Devastator. Oh, this lone Slugger Boy is a hero. Finishing off Devastators, capping the map, repairing vehicles, looted tank on the field now, moving in on these Devastators. These knobs still very low. Gonna have to be careful. He needs to move back against that Force Commander. Oh no, he does get the Power Fist off, and that may be the end of that looted tank if he's not careful. Knobs very low. Tex being... Oh, I'm not sure what he's doing. Oh, uses Call the Boys and brings out an entirely fresh new Knob squad. 10 points, however. The VP drain stops. Warboss goes down. Flash Gits are trying to get the cap in, but this rear Devastator still keeping the knobs suppressed. And unfortunately for Tex, I think that's going to be the game. Looted tank went down to the Force Commander. Flash Gits not going to survive to get the cap. And down go the knobs as well. As soon as Toilailee gets the cap, that's going to be it for Tex. That last push, once again, completely impugned by this Devastator Marine squad. A drop pod coming in, it looks like. I thought it was terminated, but he didn't quite go for that. Instead, using the drop pod to use it as a reinforcement on the field. Tex very sad about those bolters from the Stern Guard veterans, which completely eviscerated those 2 Shooter Boy squads. Of course, you just have to be very careful when they're using that ammo configuration. As I mentioned, it's like fighting the Plague Champion with his default bolter. You need to remember to retreat a little earlier because that damage, that damage over time, still does full damage on retreat. So always something to keep in mind. Look at this pile of Space Marines. 3 Devastators back there, 2 Suppression, 1 Artillery, and this very beat-up Dreadnought. Unfortunately for Tex, I think that last push was a bit of a desperation push. And, of course, he only had 10 VP, so he needed to get in there. But, of course, Toilailee was just set up and ready for it. But that's exactly how you have to deal with knobs. Just knockback, knockback, knockback. Scouts, Plasma Devs, and, of course, the Dreadnought with Emperor's Wrath. Very, very effective there in the endgame. But Tex had such a strong opening. I thought with that Battle Wagon he was going to have the game, but he was a bit too careless with it. And kind of gave up both of those vehicles in that one big engagement. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the game. Feel free to comment, subscribe, talk about me, the commentary, the video, the game, the elite mod, whatever you want. I always appreciate it. This is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.